Well, hello, fellow photography tech geeks. It's my four-legged friend Dexter and me back with yet more technological terpsichorean talk as we, and here comes the link, dance.
I thought you were complaining about the music.
Oh, heaven forbid, I'm one who delights in all manifestations of the terpsichorean muse.
Sorry?
Around the topic of my single favourite piece of photographic equipment on day, I think it's day 13 now, of this year's Advent video series thingy. Anyway, I've based this decision purely on three things. The length of time I've owned this particular item, as I have been prone to in the past to chop and change gear, along with great design, rugged build quality and superb after-sales service. And in the past 10 years or so, there's been one piece of kit that has served me faultlessly in many different locations and through all sorts of weather. Its longevity really is testimony to its design and build, and it is my three-legged thing, Brian Tripod, and his little airhead one. Now, I bought him way back in July of 2014 when I foolishly traded my Nikon D700 in for a D800 and also bought a 16 to 35mm f4 lens the same day. In fact, I spent so much money that day that splashing out on Brian went largely unnoticed. But I've been looking for a carbon fibre leg tripod for some time, as carrying my Manfrotto aluminium jobby around was getting hard work, not to mention in the cold weather when holding the legs for a prolonged time while walking was really quite uncomfortable. And I decided then that from now on, and for when the weather started to get colder, that carbon really was the way forward. And after looking at and trying out a huge number of tripods in the shop, it was Brian that won out. And I think really it was his colourful appearance and of course that name that swayed things for me. I used him for a couple of months before my whole life really got turned upside down, and I thought that my photography days were over. Well, I thought my days in general were over at one point, but that's another story, and I'll link to it above if you're interested and you're new here and you don't already know. Anyway, fast forward to Christmas Eve 2015 and my first trip out in over a year with my camera, and of course Brian came with me. But that's history. Why have I kept him this long, and why do I like this tripod and head so much? Well, it's simple really, and as I said at the start of this video, it's all down to superb design, rugged build quality and superb after-sales customer service, all of which are second to none in my opinion. But let's look at design and build first. Now, Brian folds up to a compact 54 centimeters in length, but can extend, that's with the head fitted, but can extend to 142 centimeters or up to over 200 with the center column engaged and fully extended. Now, at his lowest, he can get down to a macro-friendly 20 centimeters off the ground. His legs are those telescopic twist lock affairs and are quick and easy to extend and then lock, firmly in place. Weight-wise, together with his airhead, he tips the scales at a very Trek-friendly 1,500 grams. The centre column also has a useful 20 centimetre or so extension, like a snooker player uses at the end of his cue, and a screw-in hook to attach a weight or your camera bag in windy conditions. Now, all quite common fare, I hear you cry, and yes it is, but there's just something about the way Brian works that makes him a joy to use even after 10 years of ownership, and I will link to a recent video where I talk about how I care for my Brian above. All the joints and pivot points are really strong and well engineered, and in all his years of use I've never had a single problem or issue with Brian failing at all, and he's just stood up to pretty well everything I've thrown at him. His airhead, it's a simple ball head with two knobs controlling adjustment, one for the ball and one for the panning function. And again, this head has been flawless in use. And even when it did become a little bit loose and wobbly, it was a simple fix to just move a sticker on its base aside and tighten up some screws. The Arca Swiss base plate has again been problem-free, more than can be said for my Benro geared head, where it could be problematical and sometimes really quite frustrating to attach my camera. Anyone who's used one of those heads will know that. In his 10 years, I've had to do very little to Brian to maintain him, other than regular cleaning and twice yearly servicing. I once had a problem though where one of the shims in the leg joints, now three-legged thing, again with their naming things, they call them chicken lips. Anyway, one of them cracked, way outside any warranty period, but excellent customer service, saw three-legged things, send me a pack to change them all like, however many there are, free of charge. Also, when I lost one of Brian's little rubber feet, I contacted Three-Legged Thing to see if they could supply a replacement. Unfortunately, though, as Brian was one of their earliest tripods and now discontinued, they had, but they assured me they would get back with a solution. A couple of hours later, Neil from their customer service team got back and suggested I install the lowest legs from a more modern tripod, and he assured me they would fit Brian, and again supplied these to me free of charge. Amazing, really. I was then able to buy replacement feet along with screw-in spikes for use on softer ground, something I couldn't do with the older legs where the feet were bonded in place until that one fell out. You really can't fault their customer care, though. It really is excellent. The only other thing I've replaced is the small bolt that attaches the head to the tripod. Didn't actually need to, but I damaged the threads with some rather ham-fisted use. Now, after 10 years of service, 9 really, I guess, Brian may well be looking his age, but he still has all his faculties and functions, and it's for these reasons that he's still my favourite piece of photographic kit. I know it sounds daft, right? But when we've been out and about, I've chatted to him, we're setting up, things like that. Something I can't say I've done with anything else on or in my kit bag. He really does have his own little personality. Nurse the screens. I know I'm going mad. Anyway, do you have a favourite or most loved item that you'd like to keep forever? Not like, your partner now, I mean photography related. Share it in the comments section below. Anyway, tune in tomorrow when I'll be displaying my, my Lightroom editing skills, such as they are, and processing a new image this time. We'll see you then. Ta-ra.